Hey folks, this is Ampillion and we're back for the second week recap, and we've got a few other people here in this here channel. We've got the British bomber Mattin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We've got OmarLittle from wherever he's from.
Salutations.
We've got the Thunder from down under, Revenant.
Hey folks, morning.
We've got the SixleggedSpider from East Coast?
Yes, Pound the Werewolf.
And we've got the Finnish fanatic Walrus.
Hello.
And the crazy Canadian Metroid.
Yo, yo, Pound the Werewolf.
And apparently you're pounding werewolves. Let's just get real started here on the first game, which was a real shocker, a real thrill. Ricky D's Halflings versus Mike's Kimry. Boy, that came down to a bittersweet ending there for Mike. In which
He was not happy with his result. He thought he should have gotten more out of it than he did.
Yeah. It was one of those games where we all felt for Mike at the end, but sad to say, I guess he got all the winnings and all the... Yeah, it was a forfeit. It was nothing... It was not exciting at all. Sadly. I think Mike was a little devastated at the fact that he didn't get to play a game.
Yeah, that's about what it rolled down to. Mike was chasing the game all week, and then when it didn't happen, he seemed pretty down about the whole thing. So,
if I was in his shoes, I would not complain and just walk away with the win. I would take the win and just not complain.
Well, on the upside...
Oh, he's not complaining about the win. He's complaining about the fact he didn't get to play a game.
Yeah. I mean, he wants to win that way. He just wanted to, actually do it that way and not just get handed the win, but... That's what happens. From what I remember, his team really hasn't progressed too far. I think he got a guard on the skeleton?
I think Guard actually came this week, or in week 3, because he got his match underway real quick there. So I think the others were just... all the other level ups were from the previous game.
Yeah.
Well, he's a block on a throw raw, and I don't know about the rest of them.
Was a lot of was block, and tackle, I think.
Yes,
yeah, he's going.
That was it.
He's going pretty bash heavy, pretty much. Which is fine because he's Kimry. Then the second game was another game.
House of Averse Blitzace, I believe.
Yeah, humans versus Norse.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch that one.
That one was that was an interesting game. That was very fighty. I guess that was probably expected. But we had a couple of good laughs about the strength 2 catchers, having a bit of boxing matches, their own. Some elf bullshit mixed in for good measure.
Yeah, I think Blitzo got like a real crazy dodge out at some point, and he managed to score his first point on his drive, or was it the second drive?
I think that the Norse, were probably the second drive since they were catching back up. They're playing catch up all game until the very end.
Yep. But Halsford did manage to pull it off the end. Got a crazy pass off to a catcher, which is what they're there for. Third game.
JB versus Cynical Razor.
Pro Elves versus Ons.
Yeah.
That one was very bashy. It was all AB7.
Yeah, I pretty much, I think I've summed it up. There's one screenshot in there somewhere of just what happened. The elf box having 6 players out. That's pretty much all you need to know on that one.
Yeah, definitely. saw that happen. It looked like Amazons were getting everything they needed. None of the things that. In the end, it wasn't too bad though. It wasn't many things other than just badly hurts and whatnot. So
yeah, which is
you can
always
count as
good.
lessons on that.
Still a 3-0 win though.
Yeah, it was pretty painful to watch. I mean, it wasn't like Razor done the wrong thing at any point. He just, every time the Amazons blocked, it went badly for him. I think even a couple of times he threw blocks and then rolled skulls and went down and broke his arm.
Yeah, that was just an ugly game.
I have sympathy
he's down to
for him.
9 players, so he's definitely getting either some. He's definitely getting some loners next game.
What else was he actually?
Pro.
Yeah, these are pro elves.
I can feel his pain as I think I'm down to 7.
Game after that was the touted Finn Bowl for the week. Steel Ball's Necros versus our Revenant Walrus team.
Yeah, it was an easy game to win.
Oh.
Just need to roll. Yeah, you just need to roll really well, and the win just rolls into your lap.
A confident one, I see.
So that's your strategy for the tournament, is it? Well, roll all 6s and POWs and don't worry about strategy.
Well,
Yeah.
he's pretty good at it. I will admit, having played him
think
a
that
few
is
times.
The most finest of strategies. I mean, it can't fail.
From the looks of it, it kind of just came down to a couple casualties and KOs for you, Walrus.
Yeah, I think I got, like, I don't want to say that there was a huge gap in skill difference, but I did think that I had the game, like, down.
Yeah. Alright, finish posting.
Yeah, I mean, the better coach won, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
That's up for debate.
That's debatable in all stages of the game.
Oh. Alright, so the game after that was me and Aldhissa. Me and my lizards put up a good fight. He did screen me out pretty well the first drive. Managed to stop me from getting my point in. Almost scored, but his drive I managed to snake it back from him. Was a lot of back and forth, like just from one end near the end zone to the other, since we have all the 8 and 9 movement players and stuff. But then it came down to a 1-1 score. I want to say turn 14 or 15 or so, and he's kicking off to me, and the worst thing happened, and he got a blitz.
Even blitz.
Yeah, the rats. It's one of those things. If you're not prepared for it and you're against rats and they get a blitz, you might as well just give them a point.
Yeah, I saw the end of the game. That was brutal.
Yeah, I was like, all I had to do was pick up the ball. And I was like, well, I could get a point and still pull this out, but nope, didn't pick up the ball. Rolled a 1 on it, and he just walked it in the end zone. So, wah wah.
It also looks like you lost Skink to Smash Collarbone at some point.
Yeah, he's gonna get scrapped once I get some money. I also actually I had money, but I also lost a Saurus in that match, a dead Saurus, so I had to replace that. So not a good showing by the Lizards that time. But for the next game, we have Robin's Necros versus Ephaltes and his human team.
Oh yes, that game. That was a pretty solid game. I don't think there was anything too wacky that happened per se, but you could definitely say that Robin was
Kick the other guy's ass.
relentless. I was looking. That's the word I
Yeah.
was looking for.
I think
Robin's-
Ephaltes just had some early injuries and some beat ups, and he just couldn't recover from it.
Robin's
I know
team
how that
is,
feels.
Robin's team is full of 11 serial killers. I think they are. They scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went to the local prison and just dragged out the nearest murderers.
Yep.
I think the worst part about that is the fact that Faultis' loner from last game got the MVP for him, so...
Yeah, that's adding insult to injury.
Yeah, it's one of those salt in the wounds. Oh, gotta hate when that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, game after that? Oh. Mattin
Oh.
Snook?
Oh.
So how'd your Wood Elves do this week?
This week went a little better because, my two main players didn't die. But that's not really saying much because I got a few more injuries. It's Wood Elf, so you expect it. I think I got a strength down on one of my players, and I had to bounce him, so I'm down another player. Other than that, it was fairly standard. There was a very weird point where I believe one of his, and I may have to bring up the data to bring this up, but a Nurgle warrior of his, oh no, it was a Rotter. A Rotter intercepted me.
Yeah.
Which was just like insult to injury after. It was a rough match. I got a lot of people in the box. Passes weren't necessarily going my way, but that's what you expect when you're up against Nurgle. And I think he may have killed one of my... No, he didn't kill one of my guys, but I bounced him. And yeah, the interception. Other than that, fairly standard match. It was just 1-0, really.
Not
boring
too shabby.
Nurgle.
Say it again, Nurgle ain't boring.
Nurgle can go suck a certain region of me after that match. And I'm up against you next, so you're laughing because you've got it in the bag after my last two matches.
We'll see how the blitzes come. If there's blitzes,
if there are blitzes, I will
He had
be
a dead
laughing.
Saurus, man. He had a dead Saurus.
Try 2
Yeah.
dead war dancers, and then you can come back to me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Alright, so on the next game, we had Afro Carmed's Chaos Team versus Orion's Norse Team. Nurgle Team. Damn, Nurgles.
I think
That
this
was
one...
interesting. It was interesting. Ori threw a lot of one dice blocks in that. I remember watching that one where we were actually commenting that he should dodge away some of his guys so he doesn't get the assists. So he kept throwing one dice blocks because they just kept working for him. It was a case of a few runners running up and dauntlessing the Chaos Warriors, his Berserkers, because he's only got the one Ulf and run with the 2 Berserkers from the start, them frenzying into one die blocks and getting pals. I mean, he managed it well, and you've got to be prepared to throw one dice blocks with Norse, especially early on, to capitalize on it against a team like Chaos, where you're outstrength but have the edge in skills. But it was just, I really did feel sorry for Afro watching that one because I think way too many block dice went in Ori's favor for that one. I think.
Yeah, it was definitely the revenge of the one die blocks, and yeah, there were I think about 20-30 POWs rolled on one die blocks. It felt like.
Yeah, there was a bunch.
The stats looked very lopsided for that one. It was like occurrence on Blood Bowl Manager for the power dice. All the dice are POWs.
Yeah, and his last score was like a crazy pick up and pass play, so not something you normally expect from Norse, but some people like to play it that way. We'll toss in some passing play just for the shock value, I guess.
When it works, you look brilliant. When it fails, it looks silly.
You've got an excuse. You're AG3 with no skills, so it's like, yeah, I had to do it. Well,
Yeah.
And this time it paid off.
yeah, that's it. I mean, you can't argue with results, can you?
Not at all.
So after that, we had OmarLittle and Zodrock's Hiles versus Chaos Team.
1-1 draw.
Yep, it was definitely a close one. I managed to get my strength 4 thrower up in his face a few times, but he handed back off and reformed the cage, and then he just kept me at bay and then stalled out to the halftime and scored. And then I scored pretty early. Despite a few hiccups, I scored pretty early into the second half, and then it was
The hell?
pretty much chasing the ball down between us. They got rid of a lot of turns. And he had a bit of a chance at the end, but the ball dropped again.
I see you killed his tough luck.
I did. I killed a beast man.
He used the good old apothecary dead guys and still ended up dead afterwards.
Yeah, he got a dead,
which is
on that guy.
Gotta love when that happens.
Like I was actually down one player because I had a couple of badly hurts, but yeah, that guy went down, and ended up at a 1-1 draw.
I think the worst part about that is the fact you killed the guy who got his MVP last game. So it's one of those things where if you're trying to build players, and you're like, hey, I got an MVP, just need 1 point, and then somebody comes along and kills that guy the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always hurts, especially in a short format like the one we're playing now. It's
yeah.
Any SPP that ends up being lost through to deaths really ends up hurting you.
The SPP worked out pretty well with me. I got the score with the thrower, and then the thrower got the MVP, so he's like nearly 3rd level, and I managed to get 3rd level on my Blitzer Twinkle Twinkle, which I believe is the only one in the league at this point.
He's the most experienced player in the league.
Yeah, he's currently the only one at 16 SPP. Wensleydale Snipes is at 15. He's 1 point behind.
Guess who's got the target on him this week?
Yep.
We'll see.
So after that came MasterMetroid and SixleggedSpider's game. We got vampires versus halflings. So
always fun.
Sounds like a bit of a chaotic mess.
Yeah, it was the first game of week 2, so we kicked it off with a nice little circus there.
Well, he knows how to protect himself against halflings. I lost Kung Pao Chicken and another player fairly early on in the game. And, well, Kung Pao Chicken, I hurt myself from an errant pass. Short of that, he basically just stacked all his guys in the near his end zone when my turn to receive came about, and I was only able to eke out 1 point against him, and he was just able to move his thralls. Didn't roll many bloodlusts, and for the few he did, he was smart enough to move his thralls first. So it ended up being a fairly one-sided match, but yet one that was definitely enjoyable, and I think might have been fun to watch for anybody involved.
You see a lot of casualties in that game, but when it's very deceptive when it comes to halflings and vampires, because I think his trees hurt 3 of his players, and then my vampires hurt 2 of mine. So a lot of casualties, but no SPPs for anyone anywhere.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. Yeah, I had to cut one of my players. I think he smashed his ankle. It's he won't be running anywhere anytime soon with movement 4.
Be running to the grave.
Early retirement.
So after that we had Sad Panda and Fake Life, Dark Elves versus... I noticed that Wonderful Cyanide has blanked out at the Underworld. It's just an absent space on the calendar, but that's an Underworld team by Sad Panda. As far as I could tell, pretty standard game. I want to say they scored fairly early. The 1-1 came before the halftime. Fake pulled off a pretty crazy pass to tie it up. But sadly, from my own experiences with Underworld teams, it comes down to kind of being able to outpass your opponents. When you're playing elves, that doesn't quite work out as well sometimes. So you ended up with
that one. Fate really just outpositioned him, I think, with the I suppose with just about every player on his team, he really managed to get the edge on him. Didn't give him any room to move, and I mean, if you can stop the goblins from running through, you've really only got to worry about the rats as block threats, and he really managed to shut that down and use his strength advantage, because I mean the elves are faster as well than Underworld, even though they are rats.
Yeah. From the numbers, it looks like, you know, the KOs and the casualties are pretty close, so it was really came down more to the positioning and the passing game.
Yeah, and 3-1 shows you that the elves had the edge in that, as you would expect.
Yeah, one thing that's concerning me, being a player in Group 3, it looks like his Skaven Blitzer now has Mighty Blow, so we might be seeing more injuries on the halflings in upcoming weeks.
I think you're always going to see injuries on halflings. I think that's just part of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the skill ups look to be very scary.
After that, we had a Friar Tuck Lizard match versus Shovel Robot's Elf Team Pro Elves High Action Lawn Stars.
Another 3-1.
Yeah, both of them came in a little banged up from the looks of the team values.
But they came out of it pretty nice, I'll add.
Yeah, I think Friar Tuck got the edge on that one. In the bashing, it was just, I think he ended up with most of his skinks in the box, one way or the other, KO'd or injured, and Shover really just outmaneuvered him then with his elves. I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, Iosaurus are fast, but once you've got them tied up, the elves can just run rings around them.
Yeah, and even if you're punching the crap out of elves, I mean, he ended up with 4 casualties and a death even, but just even with 5 players on the field, elves can still score points on you. So
yeah, it definitely, you could see just from the SPP spread, like Doc Croc is the Croxagore for Friar Tuck, and he's sitting at level 2 now with guard, and that just tells you how many elves he beat up on last game. Yet to lose 3-1 just shows the ability of the elves.
Yep. After that, we had BMG Forever versus Jellyfish Sushi at Amazon versus an Undead game.
I did not catch that one myself. I heard it was a good game, but I do not know much information about it.
Yeah, I can't really add any more to that one.
Like, I don't remember it perfectly, but I think it was just the Diablos beating them up for the most part.
I ended up with a 1-1 before the half. BMG managed to get an interception right before to stop a second score, but he ended up pulling up a slow grind point on his drive at to start the second half. So we ended up with just basic 2-1 score. But as far as the game went, it was a little different than the typical 2-1 grind.
Yeah, the more I look at the teams, the more I remember at least the names when I was watching this game, now in hindsight. But yeah, it was definitely a great game, and want to watch again, so to speak.
After that, we had Zeus and Larcolith, Orcs versus Skaven.
Yeah, that was an interesting one for me. I thought going in up against rats, I thought, well, at the very least, I'm going to pick up some SPP here for punching rats because, you know, that's what you do. Zeus played really well. Got a little bit unlucky in the first half, run in for a blitz and rolled quad skulls. That hurt. But that was on my drive, and I sort of stuffed it up there. I got a little bit impatient, tried to move the cage up too fast, and he found a way in. And then I was forced to make a few rolls trying to get the ball back. Ended up with, I think the Storm Vermin ended up unmarked with the ball. And then that was a handoff to a gutter runner, and he scored against me. And then from there, actually that was heat the entire game, I might add. We rolled double ones straight up for the weather, then got a weather change event after the kickoff. After he scored at the end of the first half, we got heat again. on a weather change event, and the halftime roll was heat again.
Yeah.
That was sort of strange. And then I knocked someone out in the 15th round. Other than that, I didn't get a single armor break that was anything worse than a stun. So it was a very weird one for the dice, but in the end I managed to get the ball off him, and I think I scored on turn 16 to bring it up to a 1-1 draw. But yeah, no, Zeus played really well, and my biggest concern is that after two rounds I've still got no level ups. Both of my line orcs have picked up the MVP.
Cool. Yeah, I think development has gone kind of slow for a bunch of people. I mean, that tends to kind of happen in these short brackets like this, but it makes it a lot harder to kind of, plan your future. You're like, oh, hey.
I have a lineman with 8 SPP, and nobody else with anything.
You just gotta score 5 touchdowns. That's how you get SPP, right?
It's just that easy.
Hey, it might happen this week.
I sure hope so. I want to come into the next show and just be like, hey, I kicked your ass.
Yeah.
That would be an awesome show.
Yeah. Sure. Alright, so the next game.
Tolstra Sticks, Herland's. I should know this one. I played him last week.
Herland rules.
The games too.
His lizards.
Oh no, this is the one ever.
Lizards versus Wood Elves. Tolls for the River Styx versus
Holly of Fame.
Wood Elves.
Yeah.
Holly of Fame.
This was a 2-1 cage grind by the Lizards, and the thing I remember most is Snake Eyes leaps like every single time.
Oh.
It does.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough.
It does kind of bite when your most sneaky weapons, I guess, for the elf team is ineffective at all times.
Yeah, I think the Widows have been having a rough couple of weeks. A lot of, I mean, it's expected for them to, take some deaths and some injuries, but these past couple of weeks, the Elves have been taking a real battering, even for them.
Yeah,
Like,
there's not a lot been coming off for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, no crazy 5-0 wins or something like that.
Am I the only elf team that's doing any good? I haven't.
Dark Elves.
Probably
The Dark
are.
Elves.
Oh,
are
yeah,
doing
yeah.
really well.
Fake Life is also
Fake Life team, yeah.
both in
Yeah.
the same group, no less. But hey, that should make for
Yeah.
a great game.
Well,
They
we're the
meet up.
pretty elfy group, yeah.
Dark Elves don't count.
Elfie group if you can.
Well, I think
I don't know if you can consider it an Elfie group if halflings are involved. But hey,
Well, we have 3 elves.
They're like very
Teams.
small elves.
I think Urchin had the same problem you did, man. Like his War Dancers got the crap kicked out in that first game too. I think he might have been down 1 from the beginning of this game, like this next game.
Oh, right, yeah. No, it's just been a rough couple of days for them.
That being said, Urchin has got some nice development going on there. I mean, he's got a War Dance with Mighty Blow, a Catcher rolled Strength up, and he's got his mandatory kicker in Lionel Strawberry Moore. So he's not doing too bad coming into future rounds.
Thanks for making me feel even worse.
I really don't want to come up against that Strength 3 Catcher. It's just going to be a pain.
yeah, not being able to double block a catcher can be a pain in the ass. That's for sure.
Then the last game of the week was Milkman Conspiracy's Kimry team versus Jolm's Pro Elves.
That was another weird one.
Yeah,
Milkman
2-1.
lost, what was it, 3 deaths in the game, I think? One of them regened. The Skeletons really copped a beating in that one, if I remember correctly. Joel should have been the one on the receiving end of the bash, but his Elves were really dishing it out.
Yeah, they both took some decent casualties, but yeah, Jolm definitely ended up with two deaths out of it.
Yeah.
Out
Yes,
of
I think
3 casualties.
there was a third one that was regened. It was pretty rough.
Yeah,
the Elves really got off pretty well in comparison.
they were successful elves.
And
Outside of that, nothing too spectacular happened. 1-2 games. 1-2 games are kind of hard to comment on. Just because, I mean, you can look at numbers and you can look at some of the stats and say, oh, it was probably this. And sometimes...
I think it was pretty standard all round till... I think it was looking like a 1-1, then Jom got... I believe that was the one where Jom got the sort of length of the field pass. It was a bit unorthodox, but I think he ended up going lineman to lineman with a handoff to the catcher, if I remember correctly.
He's an elf team. He can get away with it.
Yeah. Those elves do that. That's what they do.
Nerves of steel.
Beyond that, I don't think we had any themes this week, as far as...
Well, there are a lot of 3-1 games in Group 3.
We did have some... Yeah, we did have some pretty crazy, like, 3-point games early on in the week. Like, I think the first 3 games were all, like, 3-0 or 3-1. But there was no like, you know, overarching theme of war dancers dying or any particular...
Thanks.
Yeah, I think the what I'm gonna remember about this week is where's Ricky?
Yeah, where's Ricky? Come on, Ricky.
So is that the theme? Ricky sucks.
Well, like I said, I don't want to I don't want to get on people's cases about, you know, showing up and playing the games, but it really only takes, you know, if you've got a busy week, that's understandable, and if you couldn't get your game in, or, you know, you had to weasel some time in, that's one thing, but you can't, like, hop on and, like, say anything to anybody. I mean, it only takes 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, that's all I really want. If anybody's, you know, not going to be able to be there or whatnot, all you got to do is pop in and tell, you know, me or your opponent even that, hey, I've got things to do. I can't play my game until, you know, the next weekend.
How dare he have a life?
Well, like I said,
basic summary.
Well, no, like I said, it's not
There's a difference
anything.
between having a life and courtesy.
Yeah, it's that. I don't mind if you don't show up the entire week and can only play on the weekends. That's perfectly acceptable. Just so long as you let somebody know, hey, I can't play until, you know, Saturday or Sunday. Then that way I can say, all right, that's fine. We know that one last game is gonna wait till, you know, Saturday or whatever, instead of just kind of wondering when we're gonna actually finish the week, or, you know, when can we do these recaps, that kind of thing. It kind of sucks. Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of want to make sure you have some semblance of continuity from week to week. I mean, you want to know that you're going to be able to rely on people to show up and at least contact you. I mean, to be able to just get a hold of you and say, you know, here's when we're going to meet up for this match. I think groups 1 and 2 might have a little bit more difficulty with it because the 3 and 4s are mostly US folks. But even then, I mean, I think the only people that really have that huge issue would be maybe me and Mike, and Afro and Rev having the kind of... I think Afro's Russian? And
I believe so, yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where it can be tough matching up with your opponents sometimes, but even then, I can still hop on and say, hey, you know, what's a good time for you?
Yeah, and we've always, I mean, there's always at least half a dozen of us floating around in the Steam chat as well, so for anyone out there that's having trouble getting in contact with their opponent or thinks they're going to be missing it, there's usually enough of us in there. Drop in, just let us know. But we can either help you find your opponent or keep an eye out and help you get in contact with them if you're not around, or at least, you know, pass a message on to AMP that, you know, there's going to be a hold up.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I don't... Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think as a whole, I mean, in my experience with leagues like this and this kind of setup, there's always a few. So the fact that it's taken till the second match and it's only been one so far, I think it's been a pretty good run for matches, actually.
Yeah, I think we did all right first week. I kind of expected there to be, you know, maybe some games that would linger until that Friday or, you know, even to the Saturday. And that's why I said, you know, that deadline is there for a little bit of flexible deadline, but that Saturday is going to be the cutoff. If you don't get your game scheduled or even play, I mean, if you can't play it till Sunday, that's fine. I can push it back a day, whatever. But so long as people are, getting in contact with other people about it, I've got no problem pushing it back just a little bit, just to make sure that we get all the games played.
Definitely. Speaking of matches, I think we should, after we're done with this, we should do ours.
I can do that.
And be prepared to lose.
Oh.
Heavily.
It's on now. It's on.
The smack talk has begun.
Now that you've said that, something catastrophic's gonna happen. I'm gonna lose 2 Sauruses, and I'm not gonna want to play anymore.
You know what? I will happily take that result at this current point. If my World Answer level's up, I will be happy no matter what, because I've only got 1, so I need her to do something good.
Alright, well, just as a closer, we do have the rankings for the first 2 weeks sitting there. Just kind of anything sticking out, any surprises, anything you're scared about playing since you're in.
I'm seeing a 850 team value Wood Elf team with 2 losses to their name that's bugging me a little bit.
I'm also seeing an 840 team value Elf team.
Yes.
That's sitting on 2 wins. So
that's kind of interesting, actually. A couple of rough matches, but I mean, if anybody can score with low players, it's the Elves.
See, you're concerned about the wrong things here. If you haven't noticed that there's a rat team in our division that has an AG5 gutter runner and one with horns.
Horned gutter runners, the surprise strength 3 blitzer at any point on the field.
Yeah, that's the thing we need to worry about. That's the thing I'm concerned about, and as far as the rankings go so far.
Is the AG5 gunner runner's name Fally McFallerson? Because probably should be.
Dead McBullseye on his back is what his name is.
Yep.
Let's all agree to kill him, alright? That's the mission for day 3. Whoever's
Come on,
up against
no
him...
conspiracies here, no conspiracies.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it's gonna
isn't a
happen,
conspiracy.
but...
He's gonna die.
Other than that, I do notice that there's a vampire team in Group 3 that's 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
A good team value as well.
I'm not concerned about them. They're going to eventually lose a vampire too, and then they're going to be screwed. I'm concerned about the fact that 2 elves are 2 elves are fairly high up there on our team, and then I've got to deal with Admiral's team this week. It's looking for a long road to climb for halflings.
Well, you're halflings, so if you lose, you've got an excuse. That's the good thing about halflings.
I cannot accept an excuse. All I know is that there's probably going to be another shootout this week, which means a lot of SPP is going to get thrown around. When I run into Admiral next, we're probably going to have our game, so hopefully that'll be the end of the evening tonight. We'll see.
If only what happened in the Invitational happened in the Bowl, I would be first in my league.
If what happens in the Invitational happens in the Bowl, you would have jumping Slan Nurgles in the row.
Well, I had a Nurgle who intercepted me, so it's basically the same thing.
You want to wrap this up, Hamp?
Yep. We're gonna call it good here, so until next time, folks.
Ciao.
Toodles.
Have a good one.
Aloha.
Problem in.
Down the
Aloha's hello.
It's hello and goodbye.
And thank you.
I mean, what?
It is?
Yeah.
Yes,
It is.
Tom Amagoto,
Aloha
Mr.
is hello
Roboto.
and goodbye.